through the abdomen, right down into the left hip socket. Inhale, we'll come back upright, reaching the arms out to the side. One more move. Eagle, exhaling the left elbow over the right. That's left over right. Getting feet active. And yes, I'm still with you. I can still feel you. Now that periscopic action through the neck, I can feel it. We can find it right here. That periscopic action of the neck, where I'm active with the ligaments of the spine, it doesn't flatten the spine. It maintains all those beautiful arches of support. There's a lovely line or felt sense of activity and liveliness that lends itself to feeling the neck and the skull as spacious, right? So we'll unwind the arms and we'll unwind the legs. And just a word on that. Sometimes when I soften the musculature or relax the fascia, I'll feel the energy of release, but I may feel a subtle gravity, like the exertion of gravity on my parts. But as I feel the ligaments, I get to still feel how the space is a part of my being and my body. So my being, my body is not just the structure, but it's also the space that the structure encompasses. Side bend. Left hand down, inhale. I'll go right arm up. And as I move into side bend, exhaling, the left hand can both palm or push the ground. And if you push, the shoulder slides down and the rib cage kind of buoys up. And then lengthening is yet another way to feel into those lateral edges, those lateral sides, those lateral ligaments of the spine. And if you're not sure how to feel the ligaments of the spine, you feel the spine, and then you can start to feel the timbre of the left side and the right side. And sometimes we start to get a picture, a sense, by way of contrast. Sometimes we get a picture of a sense of our body by absence, presence and absence. So here's the twisting toward the thigh. Bring this right arm to the left thigh. And here, breathing through the solar plexus. It's kind of weaving these parts together for us. The solar plexus is kind of this bridge to the heart. It's this underneath area of the heart. So as you're breathing and you're twisting shoelace toward the thigh, you can get a sense of how breath, how energy moves or flows underneath the heart. Inhale, we'll press our way out of there, reach the arms out. Here's another move, eagle. Last one on the side. Exhale, the right elbow over the left. Right over left. As the sit bones sink the neck, once again we can practice feeling the telescopic action. And if we want to get really nuanced about it, we can feel the telescopic action as a function of muscle. We can feel the telescopic action as a function of the ligaments supporting the bones. We can get a sense of that telescopic action as the contrast to the sit bones sinking and releasing down. Okay, so let's inhale and unwind the arms. We'll unwind the legs. We'll set up for dolphin. So let's move to our elbows and our knees. So again, I can relax the neck. And if I'm relaxing the muscles, I may feel softness, but I may also feel a little collapse. So we can try this out. Can I feel the ligaments supporting the neck, the joints, the discs? Inhale into the back of the neck and the back of the heart. Exhale the knees off the ground. And so feel, once again, underneath the heart. This is the solar plexus area right under the heart. Is there a through line? Is there some continuity or access through the solar plexus to the bottom of the heart? We'll just give it a few more breath experiment moments. As you're exhaling, feel the ribs draw down away from the armpits. So you lengthen the ribs away from the shoulders, away from the armpits. We'll start to get us more deeply into the shoulder and the top of the lung. This is the upper respiratory, which is a big player in our immune system, our immune functioning, the upper lungs. I'm giving to that first rib a lot of love lately. Let's gently set the knees down. We'll continue today to get into the chest and the upper respiratory structures. Just so important. These organs, they just love movement, and breath as part of that turnover, cell repair. Having exited, let's lie on back. Now we can start to put all of that spinal ligament from the neck all the way through the tail. And again, even if we cannot feel it as I'm describing, just keep making the connection as best as you can. Because there's something happening in our body, in our mind, even as we're attempting to feel a connection that may not be instantaneous. So let's go feet off ground, and inhaling, I'm going to feel the back of my skull, the underneath side of my skull, moving toward my tailbone. And then exhaling, the tailbone moves toward the bottom of my skull. Reach out through the left leg. So just by working the tailbone and the back of my skull toward one another, pull the low belly down. Do you notice if there's a gentler carriage or usage of those spinal ligaments? Inhale, come back centrally. Find the tailbone. Exhale, reach out through the right leg. I'm feeling for the base of my skull, moving toward my tailbone, and my tailbone toward the base of my skull. Pull low belly down. I'll talk through just one more. Inhale. And a little abdominal pressure, the tailbone shifts. Exhale, the bottom, the base of the skull moves toward the tip of the tailbone. Left leg reaches. Belly draws down. Inhale. So the base of my skull is right about where my thumbs are. Exhale, reach out through the right. So the thumbs move toward the tailbone, feeling the spine. Pull low belly down. Let's do 3 more per side on our own. I was saying to the earlier group, when I move in this way, like with the whole spinal ligament, from skull to tail, I find that these abdominal movements feel much more whole-bodied. And to me, they have the feeling of being less compartmentalized, more whole body. Good. Now, as you finish that, we'll just do one more. And we will use the roll between the legs. We want to activate, we want to awaken the inner leg. The inner leg, just proximally, brings us really close to the tip of the tailbone. So I'll be interested, just this round as I'm doing abs with a roll, just how close to the tailbone this squeeze helps me feel. Inhale into the low belly and the low back. Now, holding the breath just for a moment, I'll squeeze the roll. I'm going to track with that muscular squeeze right down to the bone, the thigh bone. I'm going to track that toward the tip of the tailbone. Exhale, the head and the shoulder blades off the ground. Draw the low belly down. Inhale, set the head down, release a little bit. I was so focused on my tailbone, I almost forgot the base of my neck. So let's do another. The squeeze helps take me to the tip of the tailbone. I'm using all those muscle clues. And now exhale, feel the base of your skull moving toward the tailbone. As the legs reach the tailbone, maybe shifts. Draw the low belly down. Do just a few more. Inhale, head to ground. Pausing, squeezing, and as you squeeze, track with the sensation toward the tip of the tailbone. Exhale the head, the back, the base of the brain, the base of the skull toward the tailbone. So the lifting up is done with ease. Pull low belly down, which may further shift the ligament structure in the lower torso. Inhale, releasing the head to the ground, releasing some of that squeeze. Let's do like 2 or 3 more on our own, just 2 or 3 more. Great. So just for a moment, we'll take the roll out. We're going to do a little setup. Turn onto a side, press your way up, and I'm going to show you a couple setups. We're doing a bridge variation. Okay. So let me show you this. So we'll be working with the tops of the feet down on the ground. Now, some weight will be distributed back. So it'll be a little bit of a leaning back. So one, if the tops of your feet need additional padding, that's one way to do it. Just a blanket under the tops of the feet. I'm going to show you one other, because some people's wrists don't love the 90-degree bend. So I'm just putting some blocks back here. Okay. So here's the move. It's a bridge variation. Roll between the legs. I don't expect us to sit back on the feet. I'm just doing that to enter. Using my hands on blocks, just like bridge, I'm using my inner legs, I'm using my buttock muscles, and pressing the butt away from the heels. Okay. And that's the bridge variation. So our knees are more bent than they would be in bridge, less bent than they would be in Virasana. And so that's the move. If you have some wrist sensitivity, what the blocks can help you do is drape the fingers over the edge, and there you can get a grasp, like you're grasping something the size of a melon. Just that little bit of fingertip pinch can create a lot of structural support in the hand. You know, sometimes you have to go a different level. Okay, so this is a setup for breathing all the way up to the throat area. And to release, I'm just going to let my buttock kind of melt toward the ground. And as you walk your hands forward, we exit. Okay. So it's a kind of a nice place to visit. It's like camel, it's like bridge, it's like Virasana, but it's a very gentle in the middle of all of those. Let's set up for Dolphin on the wall. I'll be setting up forearms down and feet near wall. With the feet a few inches from the wall, the elbows under the shoulders, forearms out in front. On exhale, press the knees up. Linger for a breath or so. Step one foot up, and again, on exhale, moving to Dolphin at the wall. And we can go for as much as 4 or 6 breaths. So we don't have to overdo it. But I want to ensure that we remain long enough to feel the development, the connection to breath growing and growing through the chest and into the armpit and into the shoulder. Because any amount that we can remain to investigate will continue to help us, our shoulders throughout. And within the next 1 or 2 or 3 breaths, when you exit, the next place we'll be is back at our mat in Warrior 2. Just take your time. It's just getting our vitamin W, our vitamin wall in. Okay. And so whenever we arrive back at our mat, I'm taking a Warrior 2. This is my right leg forward. Inhale, reach out through the wrist bones, the middle finger, Interlace hands behind back. We're working a chest opener. Inhale. And feel the top of the ribs telescoping, lifting up. So the top ribs are lifting and moving and expanding away from the middle ribs. And then exhaling is lightly bringing the knuckles down. As the arm bones go down, can you feel, does it collapse or smush the ribs, or do the shoulders glide around the ribs? Are the ribs an independent and moving, breathing entity? Independent of the shoulder. Right? Very deeply related. Okay. Release. And by release, just letting my left arm go behind my back. Placing the right forearm on the right thigh. Extended warrior variation. So by reaching through the left leg, I have access to my abdominal wall, my pelvic abdominal wall. The peritoneum, the kind of fascial encapsulation of my organs. To get a really like a clear or an exaggerated sense of that, as you straighten that left leg, feel just a little like pushing out through the heel toes in, pushing out through the toes, heel in. So those little rotations in the thigh may help awaken the abdominal cavity, the connective insides. Now I'm bringing up all that pelvic abdominal cavity. As I'm breathing through the solar plexus, I can feel if it's pulling on the heart or diaphragm or left lung. Yeah. Yeah. And maybe it was some amount of me or all of us, but someone got into their psoas. Release. Release hands. And when we set the left hand down, let's pad our left knee. Set the left knee down and a little extra layer. Inhale, draw the arms up. I'm going to play a little game. Monkey bars. So, we've done this before. We imagine our palms are pressuring or compressing a block or some object. And that'll help us. So, palm press. I'm not moving my palms together, just pressing. Now, as if my hands are fixed at that altitude, exhale, feel the rib cage drape down away from the palms. So inhaling the upper back away from the mid back, palm to palm pressure. Imagine there's a shoulder-wide block and you're just palming it, hanging onto it, exhaling, the ribs hang down away from the palms. Let's do 2 more breaths, ensuring that we are breathing as we feel both this lift and this drawing down, hanging down of the ribs. Man, release. Inhale, let's place the hands down. Exhaling, we'll step the right foot back a little lower from plank to ground. Setting the hands up for Cobra, feeling the wrist bone. Inhaling as that wrist bone presses down. Feel how the wrists, the hands, the arms support the heart. Exhaling, lower, downward dog. Reset the hands. Press back. And we'll do that on the other side. Warrior two. Inhale your left foot forward. Reaching arms out. All right, so we started with a chest opener. So I interlace hands, inhaling, feeling the upper ribs telescope away from the mid-ribs. And then exhaling, feel the shoulder structure soften and melt. Now, if we're getting a bit constellated in the chest muscles, just try this out. It's just a little play. Remember how we were able to lighten through the neck all the way up to the axis by feeling into the ligaments of the spine, or in other words, feel as close to the spine as you can, sensing how there's space, a felt sense of spaciousness that's a little different than softness. Yeah, to me that takes me a little deeper into the chest, right? Right, extended warrior variation. So the right hand behind the back, the left forearm to the thigh. Now, depending on how I activate this right leg, this rotation, and I'm just speaking to my experience, please always check with your body. You may get a totally different experience, but just playing with the rotation of the right thigh, it kind of highlights it. It helps stoke, oh, that's my pelvic abdominal cavity. It's a subtle, almost internal twisting. It's not a muscle twist. It's not a spinal twist. And once I attune to that, then I breathe right up through the diaphragm and into the heart. So getting really close to the wall of my abdomen helps get me into the wall of my chest and my heart and my lungs. Release right hand. Setting the right knee down for lunge. Patting is really nice. Inhale, we'll draw the arms up. Now I'm going to imagine using my arm lines, my very strong palm pressure, And imagine squeezing a thing and exhaling, the ribs drape down away from my palms. Yeah, I do sink a little bit more into the lunge, but my low back lengthens. It doesn't compress my low back. Inhaling, a telescope, another lift, mid-spine away from low spine, upper spine away from mid-spine, palm to palm, like you're compressing the air. Exhale, feel the ribs hanging down away from the palms. Inhale, bring the hands down. Exhaling, step the left foot back, and we lower from plank to ground. Hands slightly forward, inhale, Cobra. Using all that residual sense of the abdominal wall, the chest wall. Yeah, lowering. And take an extra breath. Inhale, hands under chest. Weight all across the palm and the hand. Exhale, downward dog. And go just a little bit deeper. Interlock warrior. Inhale the right foot forward. The warrior two stance. Now I find that so beneficial to my twists that I've been stopping to do this almost every time. I just kind of activate my left thigh. That rotation of my hip helps me feel that deep pelvic abdominal wall, which helps me feel into that deep thoracic or chest wall. And so I feel that when my feet behave a certain rotational way on the ground, my chest opens. It's kind of neat. And then when I reach back, it's a little easier on my shoulders. Interlock. So Tara, if you're still hanging with us, it's that, I bet it's that kind of pulling the outer edge of the left foot away from the ball of foot and kind of tweezing the heel in. That kind of goes right through the side of the abdomen. And it can release the low back. So if you feel a grab in the sacrum, you just have to lengthen out through there. Good. Now that you have access under the heart, let's ensure we feed that heart. Let's breathe right into that heart. Go from the bottom. You got a lot of leg energy. Just drawing that leg energy right up under the diaphragm, right through the solar plexus. Good. Release. When we set the left knee down, we're setting up a deep pigeon. Walk the right leg across the mat, lying the shin down. And by deep, I mean we are setting to grab the left foot. So shape the right leg so the angle helps your hips face ahead. Walk the left knee behind the hip. Left hand grab left ankle. And folding down to the right forearm. Good. And keep feeling under the heart. This is such an incredible place. It's a transitional area of the body. Transitional in the sense of identity, group. And to me, it feels like a transition from kind of the assertion of uniqueness in a group to love for the group. So whether it's that group is family or because we can differentiate ourselves from a collective by negation, like, I'm not that, no way. Or we can find establish our uniqueness from group by appreciation and love of group. Love can create beautiful, boundaried self. Something that's just feels really good under that heart to me lately. All right, we'll set that left foot down. Inhale, hands under chest. Exhale, downward dog, moving smoothly with grace, with respect for our meniscus and knee ligaments. Even though my palms are flat on ground, I'm going to use that inner arm engagement, that thumb to thumb action, like pulling the inner arms toward one another. Now inhaling, reach the sides of the ribs toward the sides of the room. Exhale, lengthen the ribs away from the armpits. All right, interlock, inhale, left foot forward. Again, just my flavor, just the way I'm liking it lately. I'm just leaving my left hand down for a moment. And first feeling how all of this leg, this hip rotation helps me feel my pelvic abdominal connection. All the way up past the diaphragm into the chest cavity. Now what occurs very frequently is our feeling or our sense of continuity of body will often halt right about the solar plexus. So we may get a lot of leg energy, a lot of leg feeling stoked, and then it just kind of rises to about the level of solar plexus, and then does something, goes somewhere. So I'm going to encourage us to stay with that breath and with that energy until you feel it starting to move into the bottom of the heart. And that's a good time to connect hands if you're inclined. Release. When we set the knee down, we're working that pigeon variant. Walk the left leg across, lie shin down. Right hand will grab right ankle. Fold. Release. Inhale, hands under chest. As we exhale, we're stepping, or maybe we slide the leg back first, but stepping back, downward dog. All right, let's gently set the knees down. So here's where I thought we would do some bow. I know, bow with a without any strap. And just as a reminder, some people find it much more pleasurable, beneficial on the back, to work with a roll under their belly. I'm going to suggest we can work one hand at a time. So I've got the roll. I got a very soft roll under my belly. Okay. Now, if you're not desiring to do back bends, I totally get it. So what I will offer you is do some lying on a roll. And then we can work the chest opener inversion from forearms. Remember that one? It looks like forearm balance. It's forearm balance with our butt to the ground, wall. So those will be your options if you'd rather not do this back bend. If you're into this back bend, I've got a roll just because it's a nice option. I've got my left hand down, and now my right hand grabs right ankle. Foot draws on the fingers. And I can feel that drawing open around the wrist bone. I feel that wrist bone intimately connected to the collarbone. And by way of feeling the collarbone, now let's breathe there. To diminish the sense of back bend, use your left hand and pull a little bit, push a little bit. So the activity of the left hand will modulate the bend in the back. The activity of the right foot will modulate the sensation around the right shoulder. And release. We'll do the other side. Now, if I had a really firm roll, I might need to take some break and come back, but I've got a really soft roll, so it feels fine to be on this thing for another side. I'll do one arm bow, so right hand down, left hand, left ankle. As the left foot pushes back against the fingertips, I'm feeling the hand bones draw away from the wrist bone. I'm feeling the center of the wrist, that wrist bone, leading me right to the collarbone. And if we want to get really precise, the disc, the joint disc under that collarbone, it's a joint. This is a great place to play with the breath beyond the roll. Take the breath from the roll, go underneath the heart. Your attentiveness, your stick-to-itiveness will help start to make that path right through the solar plexus, right underneath the heart. And it takes a little bit of attentional courage and attentional stick-to-itiveness, but see it all the way to the heart. And release. That's plenty. Let's slide the hands under the chest. When you're ready, and we'll press away from the roll. I like to press to my hands and my knees. Lie on back. We'll set up for bridge. Bridge will become our release or relief move. I'm bringing a block with me, so I can gain some extra support should I like it. All right, feet, hip width, fingertip distance on exhale. Shift the tailbone toward the sky, the buttock lifts. Spine lifts. Now to work this as a traction or relief move, I'll place my hands around my hips. Inhale, lifting, moving the chest toward the chin. Exhale, press with the hands, send the pelvis away from the jaw. Now I'm going to release the hands. Here's where I'll place the block under the sacrum. The additional relief move here is setting the right ankle atop the left thigh. So a little unlocking the hip. Inhale into right half pelvis. And exhaling, gently reaching out through the thigh. Okay, releasing, set the right foot down. And a switch, bring the left ankle atop the right thigh. And release. Set left foot down. Press your backside off the block. I'm going to reach my arms overhead. There's just a slight kind of bias through the upper back that I really enjoy. So I'm reaching my arms overhead, lowering down out of bridge. Reaching the arms overhead puts a little more stretch on some of those lats, and which are back muscles, so it's a little extra free back release. Now, I still got my arms stretched overhead. My left foot remains on ground. Take right leg and just stretch it up toward the sky so it's vertical. Now feel what this does for you in terms of back release. I'm going to rotate the thigh bone right in its socket, like a screwdriver, a little bit in and a little bit out. So let me name all the parts. My arms are stretched overhead. My back is on the ground. The sole of my left foot is on the ground. My right leg is vertical and I'm rotating it inwardly and outwardly. This is part of back release. Good. Let's switch sides. So my right foot to the ground, right knee bent. Left leg toward the sky. See that? Vertical. Now, actively stretch the arms overhead. Again, the active, the reach, puts a little bit of relief on those back tissues like muscles and lats. So here, just rotating the left thigh bone in its socket, inwardly and outwardly. All right. One final back release. So you can grab your feet in the way that you love, whether it's happy baby, grabbing the soles of your feet as they face the sky, or Baddha Konasana, putting the soles of the feet together. I'm just naming a couple. You may have another favorite back release. Sometimes we do that figure four, that pigeon-esque release. But get one that you like and connect to breath. Feeling that breath participate in the back. So there's a little breath and sacral reciprocity, a little back and forth. Breath talks to the sacrum talks to the breath. And release. When you set the feet down, we're setting up for Savasana. So you're welcome to leave the knees bent. You can bring the legs over to a wall or an ottoman or a couch, chair. And feel that pathway. It's a breath pathway. It's an energetic bridgeway from about the solar plexus and underneath the heart. Whenever you're ready, bend knees, turn to a side, and press up. What a fun experiment in trusting that we're together. Namaste.